Hi, and welcome to Police Beat. I'm Captain Tom Merson, and this is my last show because I'm retiring. And I'll be passing the microphone over to Detective Jim Coffman. He's going to be taking it from here. Jimmy?
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. And, you're smiling again. I guess you know what I'm getting into.
I know what you're getting into, but do you know what you're getting into?
Well, actually, I may not, but I do know what's on this show. We're going to have a short segment with you speaking to an animal fighting expert. We'll have motorcycle officer Jennifer Nye talking about child safety seats. We're going to have a special presentation by the police chief to our records personnel, who after 30 years will now be wearing an official police-style uniform at the front desk. And then finally, our ever-popular segment at Animal Services. Sandy Statler, the superintendent, is going to talk about fleas and foxtails. Stay tuned.
On February 19th, a special badge pinning ceremony was held for the Palo Alto Police Records Specialists, who will now wear police uniforms. Police Beat's Jim Coffman was on the scene.
It's actually been more than 25 years since we've had uniforms in the police department. What this does for us is reintroduce some uniformity between our records personnel and some of our other non-sworn employees in the police department. It presents us a single uniform approach to professionalism in the department.
So when the public walks through the front door, they will see police uniforms now.
Absolutely. That's what the public gravitates towards. When they're looking for somebody in authority at a police station, they look for a uniform, regardless of what that uniform is. And sometimes they overlook our records personnel or are very competent and trained at what they do in lieu of someone who's in uniform behind them. So now they'll come forward and they'll know that the person there is actually a representative of the police department in some measure of authority for handling the details that they need to.
Councilmember Jim Birch, you show up at all of these police department events.
Well, I really appreciate how the department recognizes the people in it. I think Chief Dwyer does an excellent job of maintaining morale with the people and letting them know how much they're appreciated. And I just want to show up to say the council appreciates them. I think I can speak on behalf of the people because I think we've got a tremendous police force, and I just want to let them know how I appreciate that.
Now, Nia Gooch is one of our newly uniformed records specialists. And her son, Adam, is here. Adam, what do you think of Mom?
I think she looks really cool.
Isn't that, look at that badge. And I saw you earlier pinning on that badge. Would you like to wear one day?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Adam, thank you. Nia, this has been a couple years in the making. How do you feel about police uniforms?
I feel very positive. I feel positive about the response that we get from the citizens.
Lisa and Paul Sheff are a bit unusual, a husband-wife team here on the police department. Lisa's the police records specialist. Lisa, what do these uniforms mean to you?
Well, as a records manager, I have a dual purpose. One is to support the staff and get them the tools and the equipment that they need to do their job, as well as provide training, and also to be the technical, person in records. Mm-hmm. What uniforms mean to me is that when someone walks into the police department in uniform, that it's an authority figure, that the citizen feels comfortable knowing that they're speaking to a representative of the police department that's going to get them help. I think it raises the professional standards in our unit, and I couldn't be more thrilled.
We're really fortunate to have with us today Eric Sackage. Eric is the director, the Western Regional Director of the Humane Society of the United States, and we're going to be talking about a subject that is little known and little understood, and that's animal fighting. Eric, thanks for being here. I wanted to ask you, when we're talking about animal fighting, generally speaking, what are we talking about?
In the current, we're talking about dog fighting and cockfighting. These are problems that are occurring throughout California as well as in other parts of the country, and increasingly on an international basis.
Is this a problem that we're in Santa Clara County? Is this a problem that we experience in Santa Clara County or San Mateo County?
Sure. No city, Santa Clara included, is unique in this regard. These are activities that have literally exploded around the country, and that are occurring in rural areas as well as suburban and urban areas. It's not unusual to get into certain areas that are very much a city and find cockfights being held in apartments that have been cleared out or in basements, garages, that sort of thing. And dogfighting, depending on the level, whether it's a serious level or street level, can be occurring in city parks, in very public areas, just because it's frequently gang-related participants, and they readily disperse. The more serious players are also fighting in garages and in apartments, suburban neighborhoods, that sort of thing, where people would rarely expect to find some of this stuff going on.
And this activity it's so cruel that these animals are often fought to the death. Isn't that right?
Well, death is the conclusion of many of these events. We estimate between 30 and 40% of the dogs used in these events do die, and not necessarily during the fight. And that certainly isn't what determines a winner as far as the rules are concerned in the underground activity. But because of the blood loss, the shock, the dehydration that occurs with many of these animals, they do die as a result of those injuries. In cockfighting, death of at least one of the birds is almost assured, and sometimes both, just depending on which type of event it is.
Why do people go to these things?
Well, I think there's a short answer to that, and there's one that requires more of a delving into the sociological aspects and some psychology. The short answer, of course, is money. Money is the major factor with all of these things. The amount of money that's gambled on cockfights and dogfights is literally phenomenal. We're talking about $500,000 on 250 people at an event in Arkansas some years ago that I worked on.
So one event, 250 participants in this event, or spectators, exactly. And $500,000.
$500,000, not to mention over 69 handguns that were taken at the scene, as well as significant quantities of drugs. So it was a good haul all the way around. That was a dogfighting convention. Up in Oregon, we did a 2-year operation with the Oregon State Police, and using an informant that we had. When we raided that event, we took 348 people out from 5 different states, one derby. There were multiple derbies going on simultaneously at this venue, and one derby alone had a purse of $32,400. Overall cash taken at the scene was over $90,000. So just, incredible sums of money. In these kinds of criminal activities where there's very little enforcement or not a lot of understanding about how the crimes are conducted, it opens the door to just flagrant abuse. So it's really important for law enforcement to get up to speed about what's going on with respect to these things.
Is there anything that the average citizen should look for that might indicate that this kind of activity is taking place?
Well, I think in city settings we rarely see or hear roosters, and in fact in most cases it's not legal by code to keep crowing fowl in city limits. So most of the time that's not going to be a situation in a city setting. But in county settings, citizens have been very, very good about complaining about the cockfighting. And frequently we're getting more and more complaints from people who are trying to sell homes or real estate people, which really suggests that more counties need to be looking at passing ordinances on limiting the number of fowl that they allow, even in areas that are zoned for livestock. I grew up in a farming community. I don't mind the sound of a rooster in the morning, but someone moves in next door to your house, whether you got 5 acres or 10 acres, and they park 250 birds out there. I don't know if you've heard gamefowl before, but they are 24-hour-a-day, nonstop cock-a-doodle-doo, and all of a sudden you may develop a different attitude about listening to that rooster in the morning. Many people have been literally forced out of their neighborhoods because they can't sell their home, they can't put up with the noise, and they know that the people involved with these birds are involved with them in an illicit activity that's attracting a criminal element in the neighborhood, and they don't want to subject their families or children to that. More and more counties are passing ordinances that severely restrict the number of fowl that these people can keep. So they're allowing enough for someone who might want to show birds or who's involved with fancy fowl, but they're not going to permit or allow the illegal element to seep in and wreck people's lives. With respect to dogfighting, unfortunately, that activity has literally exploded around the country, and many citizens feel somewhat powerless as to what to do about it. And I think they need an assurance from law enforcement and prosecutors that these cases are going to be taken seriously. Many people are aware of the fact that their neighbor, somebody who's moved into a house and has brought several dogs that appear to be fighting type dogs, i.e. pit bulls. The dogs may have scars or there may be other evidence in the yard that suggests fighting or training for fighting, and people need to know what to look for in those situations. I don't think we have time in this tape to go over all those things, but these are areas where concerned citizens can get together and as part of neighborhood watch programs discuss some of those things. We're happy to come meet with neighborhood watch groups, put on a short course for them about what to look out for, how to safeguard your neighborhood with respect to this, and how to get a response from your law enforcement agency if you notice a problem happening. And sooner is always better.
And it is local law enforcement's responsibility to investigate these situations, correct?
Absolutely. Now, any local law enforcement agency can investigate these crimes. They are felonies. So the problem there is that officers need to be aware of what to look for and what makes a good case at the same time. I mean, we all, go through academies and come out with so much knowledge about the major crimes that we're going to be dealing with, but we don't come out, or rarely does an academy spend any time at all on animal cruelty. We are seeing it at some academies now with regard to the correlation between animal abuse and human violence. That's there's a recognized link there. And law enforcement needs to be up to speed on that, as well as social service agencies, judges and prosecutors and whatnot. But animal fighting is an area where law enforcement is playing a catch-up game. Now, for many years, law enforcement had the upper hand in this regard. In fact, the very first laws against cockfighting in the state of California were thanks to the sheriff of San Francisco back in the late 1800s. But somewhere between then and today, the priority of that issue has slipped, and it's not given the kind of attention it needs. We hope to turn that around.
Well, Eric, it's a horrible subject, but a fascinating one at the same time. I appreciate you being here and talking with us. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Officer Heather Akins of the Palo Alto Police Department, currently assigned to hiring and training. If you've ever thought about a career with the Palo Alto Police Department and law enforcement, now's the time to apply. With so many agencies, you may wonder, why Palo Alto? We offer a great 4-11 work schedule, which means you work 4 11-hour days and have 4 days off every week. We offer competitive salaries, excellent benefits, and have a variety of specialty positions to offer. But mostly, we have a unique group of people who are amazing to work with and learn from. If you think you have what it takes to be a Palo Alto police officer, call today for an application. Our number is 329-2601, or visit us on the web at www.papd.org.
Now showing this week on the Media Center. Sports Action presents the best in local high school and collegiate athletics. Sundays at 7:30 p.m. and Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Newswatch with Mike Cobb goes in-depth with the news, issues, and people in our community. Wednesdays and Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. The Real Review examines the latest from Hollywood as well as independent and foreign films. Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on the Media Center, serving the Mid-Peninsula.
Welcome to Traffic Talk. I'm here this afternoon with motorcycle officer Jennifer Nye, who is also an expert in child safety seats. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jim.
Now, there is a new law on the books that started in January. Is that right?
That's right. January 1st, your child must sit in a booster seat until they are 6 years old and 60 pounds.
6 years and 60. So the old law about 4 or 40 is no longer.
Actually, the old law was 4 and 40, and the new law is 6 years old or 60.
Now, that's a distinction, right? I mean, that's very important.
That is, and that's causing most of the confusion right now. A lot of people are calling the department asking about the 6 years old and 60 or 6 years old or 60.
What's the purpose of this law?
The purpose is to keep children in booster seats for a little bit longer than in the past, so that the child will be tall enough to fit in the vehicle seatbelt properly.
And so they're not doing this just to torture the child, are they? I mean, there must be some reason for it.
There's good reason. There have been studies that show that a child that does not fit properly in the seatbelt can be seriously injured. A 4-year-old and a 40-pound child, which is the typical age that people are moving out of a toddler seat and moving into a seatbelt, is just too small for a regular seatbelt. So they're asking, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration also recommends that children stay seated in a booster seat until they are 6 years old or 60 pounds. The National Traffic Safety Administration actually recommends that until your child can fit in the seatbelt properly, no matter how old they are. And to do that, you would set them in the vehicle seat and make them sit all the way back against the seat with their legs bent over the seat. If they're not able to bend their knees over the seat and sit up straight, then they're too small for a seatbelt.
So even if my child is 7, but the knees don't bend over the seat, they should still be in a booster seat.
That's what the National Traffic Safety Administration recommends. The law states that as long as they are 6 years old or 60 pounds, they can move into the regular vehicle seatbelt.
The point is safety, though, right?
The safety point is that until your child can fit in that seatbelt properly, they should not sit in the seat without a booster seat.
Now, how do we know if a kid fits properly in the regular seat?
Again, put your child in your car. Have your child sit all the way back against the back of the seat without slouching, and if their knees can bend over the bottom of the seat, then they are properly installed. They can properly fit in a seatbelt. Typically, children will slouch down to bend their knees, and what happens at that point is the shoulder harness goes across their neck, and the lap belt portion is riding up on their abdomen, causing abdominal injuries. So when a child is sitting properly in a seatbelt, the lap portion is down low on the hips and the shoulder harness is across the shoulder.
So just like an adult, when we sit in a car, the seatbelt, the shoulder goes right over our shoulders, and the lap belt goes over our legs pretty much. And if that doesn't happen on a child, then the kid still needs to be in a booster seat.
That's correct.
Now, how do you know all this? Do you have a special training?
Approximately 2 years ago, I was sent to a 1-week course through the National Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, and I learned about car seat safety and booster seats. I was certified at that time, and I have been installing car seats once a week in the police department ever since then. I've probably installed over 2,000 car seats and helped inspect and install car seats for new parents and parents with older children as well.
So if a parent wants to bring their car and car seat and child down to the police station, you will help them figure out how to get the kid in the right seat.
That's right. I make appointments 1 day per week, and I can take appointments usually about 2 weeks before the date. I'm about 2 weeks booked up right now.
How do we get a hold of you?
My phone number, my direct line is 650-617-3100, extension 1353. And if you leave a message, I will call you back.
Great. Well, when I have my children, I'll bring them on down. Spring is almost sprung in the Mid-Peninsula, and we're here talking to Sandy Statler. She is the Superintendent of Animal Control of the Palo Alto Animal Services Division. Sandy, there is a big problem during spring with pets.
Yeah, the warm weather brings out some of the most common health problems for pets, and those are two things, fleas and foxtails. And with an ounce of prevention, you can save yourself a lot of money and, most importantly, your pet a lot of discomfort.
Now, this could be potentially a fatal problem with pets, right? The foxtails, at least.
Absolutely. Foxtails they will enter any orifice. Most common are ears and nose, and we have seen cases where they can actually make it to the heart and the lungs. So you want to take care of that early, and that would mean if you know that you have foxtails growing, or if you're going to be walking in open fields, get them while they're green and clean them up. If you just cut them down when they dry, they're the same old problem.
And of course, after a nice romp in the fields, check your pet before you put them back in the car to take them home.
Absolutely. Brushing and grooming is very important after a walk. Burrs and foxtails get wedged, and they can cause abscesses and sores as well as just enter the body. And we've got all these wonderful grooming supplies here, and people can come down to the shelter. We'll help them with what would be best for their pet's type of fur and stuff.
Fleas aren't fatal, but they're also annoying for not only for the pet, but for their humans.
Well, they're not just annoying. Fleas are the vector of tapeworms. So when people say their animals have tapeworms, and they're what looks like a little grain of rice normally in the back end of the animal, those come from fleas. And when animals groom themselves, if they swallow a flea, that's how they get that parasite. So those can be very hard on an animal, especially if that animal is old or debilitated. But yes, they're annoying. They itch, and they will cause skin irritation, hair loss, and it is so simple nowadays to take care of that with these very products that we sell. Once a month, put them on your animal. Animals are dead. The fleas, parasites, are dead within 24 hours.
Now I'm looking at Advantage, which I use on my dog, Frontline and Program. You don't need a prescription for these products?
No, these are no longer have to be prescribed by a veterinarian. They are over the counter. They are very different, however. If you worry about ticks, you might want to choose Frontline. If it's just fleas you're worried about, Advantage and Frontline both do a good job. Program itself does not kill the fleas. These are adulticides. Program stops the babies from hatching, so it interrupts the actual birth of the flea. So once you've got them dead, if you give your animal Program 12 months a year, you'll never have another flea.
And all these products are available right here?
Right here, right now.
And where is here?
This is Palo Alto Animal Services, and we're out at near the Baylands, 3281 East Bayshore Road.
Thanks, Sandy.
Now available for adoption at the shelter. Roscoe is a 6-year-old neutered male cat, full of love and tenderness. Riley is a 3-year-old neutered male Australian cattle dog mix who is well-mannered and anxious to please. Lady, an 8-year-old spayed female Keeshond, is highly affectionate and energetic. New arrivals include this 10-month-old Beagle Chihuahua mixed neutered male who's eager to please, and this 2-year-old spayed female terrier mix featuring a charming, playful personality. These animals and much more can be found at Palo Alto Animal Services, 3281 East Bayshore Road. Our hours are 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Now showing this week on the Media Center. Sports Action presents the best in local high school and collegiate athletics. Sundays at 7:30 p.m. and Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Newswatch with Mike Cobb goes in-depth with the news, issues, and people in our community. Wednesdays and Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. The Real Review examines the latest from Hollywood as well as independent and foreign films. Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on the Media Center, serving the Mid-Peninsula.
Well, Tom, that's Police Beat for this time, and it's the end for you.
It is indeed the end for me, Jimmy, after 29 years.
29 years. What happened on the first day that you walked through the front door at 275 Forest?
The very first day, the first call I got was a rape.
And
Very first call I got.
And what happened? I mean, what'd you feel like? A brand new officer? Did you know what to do?
Absolutely not.
But
we handled it.
You handled it. And,
we handled it.
And was there
And a prosecution resulted, yeah. Uh-huh.
Excellent. 29 years, your best time was?
Best time. There have been so many best times. Working with the people has been great. I really will miss the people. There's just a super bunch of people. I can't speak highly enough of the people. I mean, I of all the things, I really miss everybody that works there.
And what won't you miss?
I won't miss the bureaucracy, the some of the slower-moving procedural things that you have to contend with in the administrative jobs. Probably won't miss that.
Well, I know you tried your best to speed things up in your position as a captain, and we all liked you for that. So this is it. After 29 years, what are you going to do now?
Well, I'm going to ride my horse. I'm going to ride my motorcycle. I'm going to study Spanish. I'm going to do a little writing, play the guitar, do some traveling, visit some friends. I have a whole host of interests, so it'll be busy.
That doesn't sound like retirement to me. It sounds like you're busier now than you were when you were working.
Well, it sounds like fun, so that's what I hope it will be.
Well, goodbye. You've been a
Thanks,
good
sir.
friend
Thank
and a
you.
good captain.
Thank you, Jimmy. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Police Beat for this time. Detective Jim Coffman, former captain, retired captain Tom Merson. We'll see you next time.